That's a good one. That's a good one. Oh, God, it's a toad, son. It's a toad, dude.
Let's go. I wake up to a little bit of drool on my pillow, feel like it's gonna be a bad day.
What is going on, the OneCast fans? Welcome to our first ever live episode of the OneCast podcast. This will be episode 30, week 30, whatever you want to call it. 29 comes out tomorrow. Make sure you check that out. We talk about the MLF's cheating on Cayuga, a whole bunch of stuff in that one that we give our opinions and talk about. So be sure to check that out when it drops tomorrow at 7 p.m. As always, make sure you check out onecastfishing.com. Use the code the OneCast, all one word, to save 10% off your order. Check out the snagless jigs, long neck hooks, which I think we'll talk about a little bit here, and the weedless Neds. So make sure you check those out. Make sure you check out our veteran organizations that we like to talk about. I'm going to scroll them across the bottom for those of you that might not know, as soon as I remember how to work this, because we haven't been live for a couple weeks. Yeah, episode 30 weeks we've been doing this. It's pretty crazy to think. Feels like yesterday we came in here in our old setup and recorded our first episode and didn't know what was going to happen or where it was going to take us. But
which I think with episode 30, as like, can you guys hear me? Is mine?
Yeah.
I can't hear myself. That may be the issue.
You probably have to turn his volume up on his headset.
Yeah. Okay. Well, no, I still can't hear. But anyways, episode 30, kind of a round number to do our first live. So a bit of housekeeping. Obviously, you guys are watching it right now. We're going to try to screen share and pull up the new product showcase down at ICast 2023. We were down there last year. We're not down there this year. We got to work, and we got some other priorities to knock out. But we'll talk about that in a minute. And obviously, you're seeing this live now. It's live on YouTube. It'll be up there from now on. We'll just post the audio version next Thursday. So
yeah, yep. So anybody that's just listening, you're going to hear us talking to some folks that are watching. You'll hear us say their names. We may answer some questions. If you are watching after the fact and you want to give us your question or opinion, go to YouTube to the video, go below on the audio, leave a comment, join our Facebook group, search the OneCast community on Facebook. You can jump in there and make a post, and we can talk about all this stuff. But like Ben said, we're going to pull up the new product showcase. We'll scroll through the stuff that isn't necessarily relevant. I did filter out a bunch of like the clothes and other stuff because they're clothes. We don't need to spend a bunch of time talking about those. But there's going to be some saltwater and things like that we're not going to spend a bunch of time on. Not that we don't like saltwater fishing, just we don't know enough about it to really.
It's not our expertise.
Yeah, it's not something that I'm any of us, maybe Trey.
Before we get started here, I know we've all been looking at the new product showcase. We've been watching the videos. Trey, what are your initial impressions, what you're seeing out of ICast this year?
You know, going down there last year and kind of getting absolutely getting firsthand experience about ICast and how it was ran. I was really impressed. It was an overwhelming experience to see like all the vendors and the different businesses and stuff down there. And again, you know, like I'm just getting into the industry. So it was really cool and exciting. But when I compare last year to this year, when you start looking at the baits, when you start looking at the electronics, you know, some of the hardware, stuff like that, you know, for me, it doesn't stimulate me like last year stimulated me. It's not as exciting. I think we get extremely wrapped around like new products and new electronics and stuff, and it's all exciting. But for me, I'm just, you know, I'm not super excited about it. But again, I may change my attitude if I was standing, you know, in the Orange County Convention Center right now.
I was gonna say, yeah, there really wasn't anything last year that was groundbreaking or overly exciting that was released at ICast, but
except the snagless
jig. Yeah. But there's definitely a different feeling when you're there and you're around the buzz and you get to hear people talking good and bad about the things that are coming out. And you know, if you ever have the opportunity to go with a company as a representative or something, it's definitely something to do, to check out and experience. It is not open to the general public, so it's not something you can just go to. It really is for the industry, for tackle shops and buyers and sellers and dealers. And then the media has an opportunity, which is how we would have gone this year. I can promise you we will be there next year, at least some contingency of us, if not all of us. We will be at ICast next year with the podcast. I've had, I don't know how many messages of people wanting to meet with us this week. down there, and we're not there to do that. I didn't know there was going to be demand to meet with us, but we've had several folks reach out. So we'll be back next year. You can guarantee that we'll bring you live content from down there. I'm sure we'll set up and do a live from the room and all that stuff. So
yeah,
Airbnb, whatever we have.
But make no mistake, like going down there as a vendor, going down there as media, probably media, not so much, but especially as a vendor, it's exhausting. You know, like that's where a lot of those professional deals are done between businesses and people that are going to carry the product of whatever business they're negotiating with. There's a lot. It's business. Of course, relationships are 100% the most important thing. And then the after hour events that different companies hold, you know, whether or not it's a social or a party of some sort, like those are really cool. But when you're in the booth, like you're working your butt off.
Yeah.
You know, but it's not just tackle and it's not just electronics and stuff. There's a variety of people that go down there, from biologists to media to the United States Postal Service went down there last year. So it's not just all about fishing. It's a lot about the outdoor space, but you know, looking at it this year, it's just, we're in a different position. So it's not as exciting.
All right. Well, I think we're about almost 7 minutes in now. So let's go ahead and, Pete, if you want to bring up the new product showcase here.
Yep.
We'll do a little screen share. So hopefully if you guys want to give us a thumbs up to make sure when we get this up here, you can see the new products. But we're pulling this directly off the ICast website. So you have all probably seen from either Bassmaster or Wired to Fish, there have been new products, articles released. There are hundreds, if not thousands more than what's listed on those websites. And there's a reasons for that at all. But if you go to the actual ICast website or you download their app, ICast 2023, you can see all the various new products. And you can see on the screen here, we just filter them for what we kind of want to talk about and care about. So
we have 484 results.
Exactly. We're not going to go through all of them, but we got rod and reels, tackle management, you know, obviously your terminal tackle, your soft and hard baits, rod and reels, electronics, that sort of stuff. So we're going to kind of ignore the coolers and the wear, right? The apparel, the fits and all that. So,
so let's roll through.
Can you still see comments when you're,
I can see some of them. Yeah. I can't see them all, but I'll back out every once in a while and check on comments because we're looking in full screen so we can see it with you because our monitor is one small monitor and one large. So we're looking at a large monitor with you guys. If you leave a comment and we don't jump right on it, give me a minute because I'll go back to the small screen where I can see your comments and just make sure we keep up. But we're going to scroll down, and when something we think we want to talk about, we'll just talk about it. Some of this stuff, like this bait, is something that kind of excites me. I don't know, maybe not everybody. I keep forgetting which monitor I'm on. I'm on this one. This Barbados is more of a saltwater, but I like glide baits and those types of things. So that's a little bit, you know, fish fast glide bait type deal.
I do want to say something on the saltwater baits. You know, for those of us who are exclusively bass fishing, like if you've been bass fishing long enough, you know as well as I do that saltwater baits will work in freshwater situations. So don't be shy from the saltwater section in Walmart or online or wherever you go. Like saltwater baits tend to work in certain situations and something that's not traditionally thrown. So if you can find something different that works for you, it might be an opportunity for success.
Yeah. There's mostly the only saltwater baits out there in freshwater or top water baits just because I like some of them, but there's definitely applications where they work. And
I know. I remember that's.
I'm getting there. This is what I want to talk about. This Zoo Pop. This is American Bait Works.
Bring up that full screen.
This is a soft-bodied popper. So it's got your traditional popper shape, but it's got a frog hook. You know, dual frog hook, soft body like a frog. Ben was kind of like, I don't know. The reason I like this, and Trey can back me up because we've been doing a lot of frog fishing this year. Ben has a lot of experience frog fishing. So full-size frogs, I don't care what anybody says. If you're fishing a body of water that gets pressured and sees a lot of frogs, a full-size frog eventually is not as effective. So everybody is now throwing those little 2-inch and 2.5-inch, like the Pad Crasher Juniors. There's some other brands, smaller profile, but you still have a wider frog profile. This now gives me the opportunity to throw. For instance, the last time Trey and I had a really good frog bite, they were eating bluegill. Like most of the fish we caught when we got them to the boat had bluegill fins sticking out of their gullets. They were just the bluegill were in there doing their thing, popping in the pads, and they were feeding on them. This gives you more of that bait fish profile. It's going to be more slender, and it's just going to be a more compact. So it's a different look from the normal frogs that everybody's throwing.
Does it have the weight on it?
Like, what do you mean?
On the bottom, you mean?
It's basically a frog. It's just a slimmer profile.
Close out the full screen there, and is there an actual weight on the?
What it weighs? Let me see.
It weighs, because now that I think about it more, it's perfect, right? You can keep in the strike zone longer, work slow. The only thing I'm concerned about, and it doesn't give the weight there in the description, is how heavy is it?
Yeah.
Because if you're trying to fish heavy pads with a heavy rod and thick braid, 50, 60, 70, whatever braid you're throwing, right? Depending on the weight, the castability might be an issue with it.
Yeah, I'm thinking it shouldn't be too bad because I see here, it's got a metal split ring with your feathered tail. That looks like a metal connector there. It won't let us zoom in.
But I just don't know, if it's.
But yeah, I get what you're saying with the weight.
And we'll see it. Strike King's coming out with a little splash at Pop Our Bait, but the Ricos have them, and they're a quarter ounce, and you almost got to go down to a more finesse type of rod to be able to throw that.
Yep.
But I think it's great. It's definitely different, different presentation, something a little bit different than most of the fish are targeting.
Well, especially if you're looking at, we have certain lakes in the country that have a lot of submerged vegetation that just goes right to the top of the water. We have it on Mayo Lake, for instance. I think Gunnersville has it. A lot of lakes have it. And so you can't sometimes fish a pop R effectively over that because your treble hooks are going to catch. This is just another option to where you can mimic that bait fish profile and still work that over some vegetation and stuff like that too.
Right. Because before they killed the pads in my little lake, a great technique was, you caught a 5-pounder that day.
That's right.
Using it was a KVD splash, I think, but a popper style bait just up around the pads, and they weren't super thick. But if you try to throw that popper behind all those pads, you wouldn't be able to do it.
Yep.
All right, so we keep going down here on the list here.
That's definitely my favorite topwater bait that's coming out, though, for sure, that I'm looking forward to.
What's going on, Rodney Veda? Glad let us know you could see it.
Thanks, Mom, for watching from Kalamazoo.
Yeah, Bassmaster sends saltwater spook in the membership. Yes, they do. That little saltwater spook they send is a great one. And then the saltwater hooks are nice. Sometimes I think because they're the stainless or whatever, they have a super bright profile. I feel like it probably is in my head, but I think the fish see the hook more. I don't know.
And if you're listening to this, as we mentioned before, obviously we're doing this live, so we're also reading live comments. So it's also a plug. Almost every Friday evening at 7 p.m. Eastern, we do a Fishing Friday. And that's where you all can pop on and comment and interact with us. So it looks like Bait Fuel. They've got a saltwater gel.
And they got a deodorant. Hard baits. Trey's been calling.
Yeah, so we got some Bait Fuel deodorant hard bait stick going on here.
So
if they have not done that for a viral video commercial,
oh yeah,
I mean, you know what we should
American Bait Works.
Oh yeah,
reach out.
Yeah.
I got a perfect video in my head for that. If you're one of those that really believes in scents, whether or not you're, the thump gels, the bait fuels, the, garlic smells, stuff like that.
JJ's Magic.
Yep. All that stuff. This is something that, I put liquid bait fuel on some of my hard baits, but I'm just not convinced that it stays on there, so this may be an opportunity for it to,
with the original
to maybe help
bait fuel. I'm interested to try it in some of those hollow body plastics
that's right
about to come out and see how much longer it stays.
Yeah.
For Proficiency's got some new combos. They did come out with a little bit more expensive spinning reel. Proficiency, known for their crazy colors and all that. If that's your thing, cool. Not really my my style. Steve Loper, when you watch this, that'll go good with your boat, bud. You should definitely rock that so you have a spinning rod in your boat.
Steve's going to have to listen to this because he's fishing a Wildcat tournament right now.
Yeah.
That flipping bait there, the Perfection Lures Deli's flipping bait, it looks like it's got a keel on the back end.
It does.
Kind of, doesn't it? So that's probably got a lot of kick, which, I mean, warm water is great. I don't know about a cold water flipping bait. I usually don't want that much action, but that's going to have a ton of action. It's going to be a really nice trailer. And a good flipping bait on its own. When I'm flipping, I like more subtle stuff. I don't know about you guys, but I'm not real big into a big heavy kick when I'm flipping. It just seems like I get more bites out of the more subtle movement, like a D-bomb or something along those lines.
I mean, when you look at flipping like around gum trees, cypress trees, flipping pad edges or whatever, or lay downs. I mean, I think a lot of times, like if you get it right in front of the fish's face, like it's a reaction strike, where I think a lot of the action matters is when you talk about dragging a big Carolina rig, or you putting you're dragging a football head jig on the bottom of the water or something like that.
Or you want to dead stick.
Or you want to dead stick it.
Current.
Yeah. But I mean, we crush them all the time just on stick baits.
Yeah. I'm buying this multi-view Revolution, their little camera.
Yeah. So Pete's definitely gonna.
I'm saving up for the underwater drone.
Yeah, Ben wants the underwater drone. David Fuchs, spike it works great on Cinco's. Smell stays for a while. Yep, spike it if you want a little color and flavor. That's the way to go.
Let's see. Okay,
These are saltwater hooks. I did put terminal tackle because there was a couple things that I wanted to talk about. I don't know why that's considered a non-motorized boat accessory, but if you need a hammock, Boat is coming out with a water hammock. So that if that's your thing, more rod sleeves. Everybody has them now. We've talked about this bait pop before. I think, is it called bait?
Yeah, I think that's the one that Scott Martin promos in a lot of his videos. And listen, you're seeing a lot of forward-facing sonar related gels and stuff come out. Tungsten weights and gels and stuff like that. And there is a piece of terminal tackle that I'm really excited about coming on later on. But the forward-facing sonar game, man, like it's strong, and people are trying to figure out a way to maximize that image.
Yeah. Yep. Adds the spray fish attract to air dry. Yep.
I think you got that right.
That was a different one, but yeah, if you put the spray fish attractants on and let it dry out before you fish them, it'll last longer. Absolutely.
All right, let's keep going down here.
So the bait pop. Yeah, hold on. I gotta get my mouse on the right screen again. Some different weights. Not really anything excited there. I do really like these. I'm a Daiwa guy. I'm on their VIP program. I really like these baits reels. They're all aluminum CNC, super quality reels. They are expensive,
but
mostly made
right
here.
There, 5 ounces.
Yeah. Oh, they're heavy because they're
that's light.
I mean, yeah, you're right.
It's like the new trucks.
To some of the stuff
they're just
using, but
super light.
It's all aluminum. There's not much plastic. It's all machined. They're made here in the U.S. if I remember correctly. They're just solid. If you pick one up, it just feels like a solid. So if you're looking for a high quality reel, I'm always going to recommend Daiwa. But if you're looking for American made, something like that, definitely check out the baits. Trey and I looked at this too earlier. This Bass Reaper Mortal Creature. It's just a little. We said it looks like a cockroach.
Yeah, like just the main body, like the torso.
It's got that torso, and the head.
I was thinking.
I can't zoom in, so I don't really know what's going on with its flippers there. Like it's an interesting looking bait. It's a little bit different than every other creature bait, right? And everybody complains how baits are always the same. It's a copy of somebody else's bait. This one definitely looks to be a little bit different. I need to see it in person for sure, but it looks to be a little bit different than what we see normally with a creature bait. So if you like fish and creature baits, that might be a bait worth checking out. That's coming from Bass Reaper.
Yeah, let's talk about the new product showcase real quick, just as we scroll down. A lot of these companies will enter their products into the new product showcase, and I think it's day 3 of ICast. There's a voting system on who's going to have.
It's tonight. It's the first.
Is it the first night?
Yeah, they'll announce it tonight.
Okay, I can't remember when it is, but at some point in ICast, with the new product showcase and all the different categories, there's a voting system. They vote on what wins, right? And there's an award and stuff that is at the end. So it's kind of a big deal. I know OneCast Fishing entered the new product showcase last year, and we were hanging out for it, of course. I think, what was it, Hummingbird or Minn Kota or something like that. They ended up winning.
Well, they're not going to win the category that the jig was in. I think
right.
The slobber knocker.
Yeah, the slobber knocker ended up winning last year for Berkeley, but it's just an opportunity to get your product out there as a vendor and see how it does.
And it's media, and then there's another group of folks that get to vote on.
Yeah, and I think they vote by noon on Wednesday, and then that's when everyone can go in.
Yeah.
And the reason why we wanted to come live and share some of these products is, again, a lot of the ones we're talking about here, you're not going to see a lot of media because they're just smaller companies.
Yeah, and a lot of this stuff is not. You're not going to see this on shelves till fall, so don't get super excited. There are some that are out already. We'll point those out. There's a few that I already got my hands on because I have a couple connections, and we can talk about that.
Rub it in.
But yeah, so a lot of this stuff you're not going to see till later in the fall.
I did want to shoot out, but
Biz Baits, yeah,
Biz Baits, a North Carolina company. They're out closer to Charlotte, but they this is their first year down there, and then they've got a bunch of new soft plastics and then terminal tackle.
Yeah, they redid their lead design, so there's some changes to their heads if you like their heads. They've also launched their deal with True South is no more. True South has restarted on its own. Biz Baits now has launched their line of Biz Baits, Buzz Baits, spinner baits, jigs. So definitely check them out. I liked their spinner baits. Excuse me. When they were with True South, they were well made, high quality. I assume they'll be the same.
Yeah.
Probably get some more from them. So definitely check them out. A good, like you said, a good local.
Their soft plastics sell themselves too.
I don't use many but their Dizzy Diamonds, and it's tough to beat. The other Z Bait's another good one for a floating tail for your shaky head and stuff. But the Dizzy Diamond is a tough one to beat. Yeah, stands up really well. Tail floats, just all together good. So check out Biz Baits if you've never heard of them.
It seems like every professional angler with who they're partnered with released their own signature jig this year.
Like 3,000 signature series jig. One jig company we saw had 4 different flipping jigs by 4 different anglers.
Yeah.
It was like the Brian New flipping jig, the James Williams flipping jig. It was wild.
Yeah.
If you want to heat your water up really fast in your live wells, buy a live well lid viewport, throw it on there so the sun can beat on it all day.
I will say I did watch a video. I won't name the name, but this person is running the live well lid viewport on their
Bring it up full screen
on their boat.
It's a video. There's a video.
And
I'll pull it.
and that was the number one question.
Hey everyone, I'm Captain Luke Taylor, and I'm here to show you one of the most innovative products that's hit the bass fishing world in the past decade. That's a live well lid viewport. What this product does is allows me to look back and see that my live well pumps are running and my fish aren't going belly up, all from the front deck of my bass boat. This means more time fishing, more hook sets, and more tournaments won, and less time checking on my bass.
The new patent-pending viewport has a special coating designed to reduce condensation and fogging of the window, and uses specially formulated acrylic designed to block up to 50% of heat-causing radiation from the sun, and has air vents to help remove harmful metabolic gases. The viewport can be mounted in an existing lid, making it a great retrofit project for existing boats, or integrated as a standard upgrade part for OEM boat production. Teak Isle's new live well viewport can be the difference between placing or not in a tournament by allowing.
Look, I mean, that's interesting. At least for my boat, I can hear my pumps running.
Yeah.
I
mean, whenever I sit down to make a run, I just open up my live well lid and go, yep, they're still living.
So
I get it.
Yeah, I mean, like, understandably, I mean, the concept is great. We talked about it a couple weeks ago, but you really need to know how to fizz your fish. You won't have to open your live wells or constantly check your live wells all the time. Like, if you know how to properly fizz your fish so they don't go belly up. And listen, you still have to fizz your fish sometimes out of 6 inches of water, especially when they're extremely stressed out.
Yep.
I understand the concept. If it works, it works. Good for them.
Somebody called me the important man. Oh, David. Veda. How does the bait pop with the spunk? How's the bait pop work? I've never used it. Just curious if you actually notice a difference or not.
And if Pete was that important, he would know.
Yeah, I'm definitely not that important. I paid for the baits that I have, and I was just lucky and found a retailer that got them early. But I'll make it sound cool by
Walmart.
It wasn't Walmart.
All right, let's keep scrolling.
I actually am really excited about these Boogerman buzz baits. Weird name.
Yeah, they look pretty good.
Come on. I really like that. Is going to thump the head. You're going to have a lot of click there.
Super compact.
Yeah, it's a nice compact bait. They do make one that's a little bit longer, but that's going to be a killer bait. I'm going to have a 50 of them jokers probably.
He's going to have 50 of them and never throw one.
And then they have a bigger half-ounce one, but I'm more of a 3/8 for that. But yeah, check them out. That's a smaller company I've never heard of. Boogerman Bait Company. Looks like they're making a run at getting their baits out there to everybody. So if you like compact little buzz baits, man, that's gonna be a good one. 911 Custom Lures, who's another North Carolina company, makes a really nice compact buzz bait also. check them out as well if that's your thing, compact buzz baits. I'm going to talk about rods. John Cruz, the big bait rod. I have one. I've had one since they were released. Great rod. If you're looking for a rod that you can do a ton of stuff with as far as big baits, I mean, you can see their A rigs. If you're throwing mag drafts, that's a 1 ounce spinner bait. That's an actual KGB shad. I know because it's mine. But if the new resin one that Spro and KGB came out with, this is a touchy subject for me, and I'll go into it real quick. They needed to borrow this bait to take the pictures because John was fishing a tournament, so he couldn't send any of his. So I had to ship it to New York, and it was the most nerve-wracking about a week of my life, because if anybody knows, they're super hard bait to get. I was very lucky, and a good friend, Byron, who was on the show, big bait guy, had one he was letting go, and he hooked me up with a good deal on it. And but it throws that and the Spro one great. So if you're looking at getting into throwing, I'm not going to say big glides because that's not really a big glide. It's only like 1.5 ounces. If you're looking for a rod to throw A rigs, big cranks, that's the like 25-foot diamond crank that's like 3 inches long. The body's like 3 inches plus the bill's like 2.5.
Didn't you?
I can't think who makes what size.
Was this the rod that you caught your first glide bait fish on the other day?
No, I wasn't throwing.
Okay.
That was a regular swim bait rod. I have that rigged up with braid right now because I've been throwing big softs down at the river some, and that's what I've been using it for. So it's got like 50-pound braid on it.
And Cashin's also coming out, and you might be able to explain this better, Pete, but they're BFF saltwater rods.
Yep, we're gonna talk about them next. So if you're looking for a big bait rod, highly recommend that John Cruz big bait rod. They do have swim bait rods that'll do the same stuff, but this one's way more versatile across a wider range of different baits. It might not pull up the saltwater because I didn't pull it, but yeah. So the other ones that Cashin, as you know, most of us here in the room are throwing Cashin. Our friends throw Cashin. Great rods, American made. If you're a saltwater guy and that's your thing, they came out with two, saltwater BFS. They're called saltwater finesse. So the new wave, Z-Man came out with a bunch of baits and stuff, is like Ned rigging in saltwater, light head, smaller swim baits, basically like our BFS applications in freshwater, take that over to salt. So they're a little bit heavier than the freshwater BFS stuff, but they have a spinning and a casting. So the casting's like your salt BFS, kind of like the BFS rods they released. And then the salt finesse Ned rig rod called the Salty Ned is the spinning rod. And I'm probably going to pick one up and use it in freshwater for some stuff because I really like the action on that rod.
Yeah.
And again, you're not hamstrung to just fishing in saltwater. Like,
are we saying saltwater fish are even getting pressure now?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely.
They absolutely are.
Everything's getting pressure now. It's another jig. There's 300 kajillion of them on this list. If you're not using OneCast jigs for whatever reason, there's a bunch you can check out. Daiwa. I'm a Daiwa guy. They redid the Tatula 100 for this year. They made some changes to the body. They brought in their lighter spool. Things should cast 10 miles, still using the T-wing. So I think the T-wing is probably the best casting reel system on the market, just because of the way the line will come off that spool and everything. So if you're looking to get into that, $180.
Yeah, it's reasonably priced too.
And that 100 size, like high quality reel, I don't think you can beat that.
What's the gear ratio on that? Is it coming?
They come in, everything from I think 6.8 to 8.1.
They'll be great. I mean, I got a couple of the older ones, so they'll be just fine.
Yep. If you're a musky guy, they came out with a crazy looking. I'm just gonna click this because it's wild looking. It's a Daiwa. It's like a big giant spy bait. I think it's 11 inches. It's got blades and everything. So our northern guys, you like to chase them toothy critters. Might be something to look at.
Yeah, but dude, if they make a pure silver one and you're on a blueback herring lake, like I guarantee you that would pick them up if they were schooling, man.
Yeah, I've never been a Denali guy. I guess they have reels now. Have they always had reels? Anybody know?
Yeah,
I thought they did. Yeah,
have they?
Oh, Denali always made rods.
I know they made rods.
Yeah.
I'm going back to comments real quick. It tracks smaller lures, to be honest, bigger bass, make me downsize my lures. That's all. Yep, I hear you.
All right, let's see here.
Denali, this is a bunch of catfish stuff. If you're into catfishing, they came out. I don't know what any of this is, so I'm not going to talk about it, but some kind of drag and brush guard and a mat and a big old weedless hook, it looks like, and some rattling pegs.
I'll tell you, if there's anyone that gets snagged up more than anybody, it's those competitive catfish guys. I mean, I went with a buddy of mine, and we probably went through a dozen of those big hooks, hooking cut bait and stuff like that. There ain't no weed guard on it. Like it's just one of those things. Like I'm sure anything that can help those catfish, Bubba's like have some weedlessness would be good.
This drone fisher tackle has if you have a DJI Air 25, they came out with a bunch of stuff if you want to go drop baits with your drone. Trey and I were talking with all the sonar pressure fish are getting, we're going to be launching them off our bass boat soon.
So you need to get your drop shot out there 500 yards. We're going to have to launch it with a drone because there's so much forward facing sonar pressure.
It takes long lining to a whole new
That's a whole new level.
That's right.
Imagine how deep you can get those crankbaits if you
could you imagine?
Entire spool out.
I can get that crankbait down to like 55 feet.
My luck, I would put that joker all the way out there like 200 or some yards
and crash the drone.
I would take one crank and one would eat it half a foot under, and it would be like a 9-pounder. It would turn and run, and it would go pink, and that would be
you'd have
you'd have a 9-pounder with 300 feet of fluorocarbon swimming around the lake,
getting wrapped up in everyone else's props.
Eagle Claw's got a bunch of stuff coming out. Ice fishing, some starter combos for kids. They're colored hooks. When I trout fish a lot, when I lived in Pennsylvania, I liked those kokanee hooks with the color on them. I like the yellow ones. Probably didn't make a difference, but trolling stuff, again, if you're into that, it's there. This is one we're excited about. This Echo Jigs company. I'm just trying to see where the picture of what they have, so it's blown up for y'all. But they've created a jig, so we'll go through this. They have some pictures of all of them, and what they did. It doesn't. I know some people have been testing this, so I trust people that I trust. But they took your normal jig head shape, and they cut a hard edge into everything. So your vertical has a flat top, your deep tomahawk has a flat, and that has a flat surface. So on your forward-facing sonar, when it pings off that flat, hard surface, it's much more intense of a return, and you can see it a lot better.
They're just getting rid of the stealth.
Getting rid of the stealth. Yeah, I mean, exactly.
And honestly, with everyone, like how Gussie won the Classic in Tennessee, he was Demiki rigging and stuff like that, and a lot of guys and gals are getting out there and trying to perfect that finesse vertical fishing with forward facing sonar and stuff. And this isn't just for vertical fishing, but you're looking for that really good return so you can see what's going on. And this is really exciting, and I'm definitely going to pick me up some of these when they hit the market.
Yeah, I'm going to give them a try. Like I said, I know some folks that have been trying them. Going to be different. As an interchangeable,
this was interesting.
Jig. Oh wait, I'm on the wrong screen. It's not. There's no skirt. But apparently you can change the weight and stuff. If you're I don't know what application, this is probably a walleye deal would be my guess. If you're banging around rocks and stuff to try to protect the hook point a little bit, but something a little bit different. I don't know how the weight changes or anything. A lot like OneCast weedless swim jig that's skirted. They don't have a skirt. They have a round ball head. So just something else different. I like different because there's not a lot of change in the industry anymore, a lot of innovation. If you need a jig, you can go to Epic Baits. You can get your Scott Suggs casting jig, your Wesley Strader casting jig. I don't know what the difference between the two is. They're both casting jigs. This is what Trey and I were talking about, like a bunch of different. I'm not a fan of this shaky head design at all. Like, the hook's rusted already.
I mean, let's be honest. That's a terrible image.
Outside of that, just
they didn't clean up the head. Look at the screw out there.
Yeah. And there's
so let's talk about this for a minute. Like this, if you're a first timer going to ICast and you're trying to market a product and find a niche in the industry, I would have your shot group as tight as you could. Right. The first impressions are lasting impressions. If you're submitting really low quality photos and you're not doing your due diligence and taking your best of your best product down there for all these major companies to see, you're doing yourself a huge disservice.
Yeah. I mean, there's paint all over the hook shank, but even besides all that, I just don't like that design. Like,
He'll catch fish though.
It'll catch them.
oh, I'm sure it will.
I mean, rooster tails. There's a whole bunch of those being
Power
released,
bait.
and they're still catching them.
Power bait catches fish. Like,
I think there's even some live bait on here. we don't have that pulled up,
Yeah, there was.
but there was like night crawlers and stuff. So
Let's see, I don't know. These are some kind of baits, but there's no pictures of them, so we can't talk about them. But Fish Daddy got some stuff coming out: flukes and Ned jigs and quad tails and air craws, air worm. What's that? Wide gap jig.
Well, we can't see him, so
We don't know. What
I
they
have no
look like,
idea.
but if you want to look at them, Google 'em. This next gen tackle box I thought was something a little bit different.
yeah. So bring that up. So this is Flambeau's new tackle box, and it's kind of interesting because you think about the old tackle boxes we probably all used to use as kids, or if you've got a maybe not so much competitive kayak fisherman, but bank fishermen, John boats, right? You know, you get the tackle canoes that flip up. The problem is you've got that tray usually, or some trays may come up, but everything on the bottom gets stuck down there.
yes, it does.
It's all rusted out, and you'll look 40 years later and it's still stuck out. But this one, the trays open up to the side.
The other thing with those
Really
flip top
nice.
ones, and every one of us has done it, you flip that joker open thinking it was level, and next thing you know, it falls
Yep.
off a rock.
Yeah,
Tail.
top heavy. It flips
Everything's
over.
spilled out all
I got a couple out here in the garage, and yeah, I mean, who would have thought it would have taken this long? Like they have some that pull out, right? But even the pull out ones, like this is a way better design.
And the pull out ones are much bigger because you're talking about a 36 or a 3700 box that slides into it.
Right.
So this is going to give you that same compact size, and your drawers just open to the side. So definitely cool. Again, something innovative and different. It's not something I'm going to use. If I had a kid, I'd probably buy it.
Yeah, cool gift idea.
Yeah, if you got a kid getting into fishing, that would definitely be a cool gift idea. There's another Nate Brian Thrift's got a micro skipping jig coming out.
You don't say.
Four Horsemen, I believe, is a North Carolina company. I could be wrong. They're big in the saltwater inshore game, popping corks. So it looks like they have a whole new line of popping corks coming out. So if you're an inshore guy, I know you've heard of Four Horsemen because I've only inshore fished like 10 times and I've heard of them. So I know they're a pretty big name. Frog Togs. This was a bait that this Dixie flip from G-Rat.
Yeah.
Little compact flipping bait, not super wide body. Gonna move some water, like with those ripples all the way down the appendages and stuff. It's gonna be a good one, I think. Pretty interesting. Again, something that's a little bit different from what we're used to seeing. So
something that would pair nicely on the back of a black and blue snagless flipping jig.
It would. I'm on the wrong screen again. Come on. They also this thin swim.
I like
really
this
good from G-Rat.
Yeah.
So
what do you guys notice about this? Like, and for the audience, yeah, we're live and stuff, but the thing that sticks out the most with this bad boy.
Well, I see two things. Number one, the nose is flush.
Yes.
Yep.
Right. So that should get a better connection with whatever jig head you're using.
Yep.
But two, I also noticed with the tail, typically on these baits, you see the profile becomes a lot thinner.
Mm-hmm.
That's probably 3/4 of the way back before it really transitioned to fib, rib tail, and then the paddle.
Right.
Whereas instead of it being maybe halfway or 2/3.
Yeah.
Right? So it probably. So I don't know. It may end up kicking more or it may kick less. I'm not sure.
I like it. Like you said, the first thing you guys pointed out was the flat nose. Like a lot of people, what do? They get a soft plastic out, they bite the nose off if they're going to put it on a screw lock or ride it up on a jig or whatever the case may be. And that's like less waste, right? Less waste for the bait company itself, and then less waste for the angler. And then you're right, when it comes to the tail, it's definitely different. So I'm interested in this because this is very natural looking in my opinion, and who knows what the color schemes they're going to have, but this looks like a really good swim bait.
G-Rat has a lot of really cool plastics. I always forget about them when I'm looking for new stuff to try or I'm ordering. But I have screenshots of these ones in my phone.
Yeah.
So,
it's like a cigar shaped, actually. A cigar minnow.
Yeah. Yeah. P-Line's got a new floor Endor X, whatever. Some new braid if you're a P-Line guy, I guess. Anti-fade.
Okay,
This thing doesn't make any sense to me. Maybe somebody here can explain. Maybe Ben.
Who makes that?
We'll talk about it in a minute because I don't want to go back out of the
Okay.
picture. But they created this bladed jig, and their claim is they molded these two BBs in the head that the blade is going to hit and it makes a unique noise. I have no idea how the blade is hitting that BB right there.
Give me the physics behind that, Ben.
I mean, I would have to see a video, but to me, that doesn't make sense, right? Because when you tie your line to the duo snap and it's swimming through that water, that blade is going to be up higher because that's where you're pulling. And with that split ring, right, that thing is going to hang down.
Yeah.
Now, like we use split rings in our bladed jigs, and yeah, you will get some contact and all, but where exactly that bead is,
It's not going to be there.
Now, is there a BB inside that bubble
What,
that's clicking around?
what bubble?
That's
the BB.
That is the
brass
BB?
That's one of the two. Yeah.
okay.
So it maybe you're right. Maybe there's a loose one inside of the head, like they
Yeah,
have
I'm
a
not
chamber
sure.
in there. I'm going to read the description real quick. So this is G. Poochie and Sons, Pucky, whatever. Designed with two copper-plated BBs that have been molded into the head of the bait. First gen fishing copperhead bladed jig is the loudest vibrating jig on the market. When the copperhead blade rocks from side to side, it strikes the BBs, emitting a loud and high-pitched rattling sound. I just don't see how it's going to hit.
I don't see how that's
where-
possible.
I'd have to see a video.
Yeah.
I mean,
because it's below it.
I would imagine if they're marketing that, it does hit.
I hope so.
You know, so right, and I would imagine that metal on metal contact will make a different sound.
Sure.
Yeah.
So,
That same company, G. Poochie's coming out with these two, and the extrovert and the introvert double clacker buzz baits. One's a metal buzz bait, one's a plastic bladed, dual blade with clackers. I'm not a dual blade buzz bait guy. I know a lot of folks throw them, catch a lot of fish on them. It's not something that I've spent time throwing. Maybe I should. I don't know. Comment below if you think we should start trying these.
Pete will have 25 of them in his boat.
No, I won't. But
hey, so I've noticed. I think we're not even halfway through this yet. And
Yeah.
we're 45 minutes in.
yeah, we're rolling. So
I know there's several we want to actually talk about.
double bladed, if you're into it, check them out. I'm going to roll through these stuff pretty quick. More catfish stuff.
A lot of hooks.
The Force Kraken. So there's some updates to the Garmin
Yeah.
Force trolling motor.
Yeah, the big thing this year is the trolling motor wars. Right?
It is.
You
Yeah.
got the Garmin Kraken, you got the Power Pole,
Move.
the Move, and then you've got the Quest lineup from Minn Kota. So, they're all going brushless. They're all getting more expensive. That's the trend right now.
That's
So,
right.
Yeah, so there's a bunch of wireless integration stuff now with the Kraken from Garmin. So if you're a Garmin trolling motor graph guy, check them out.
Looks familiar.
G Crack Baits has had these bellows shad for a while. They came out with a smaller 3.8 and a swimmer now that has a swimming tail on it. We talked about this a little bit earlier. I'm not going to waste a bunch of time on it because I don't know enough about it, but a couple of Japanese anglers have been fishing these in the elites and catching some fish on them. Apparently it looks like a bug that's trapped underwater with those little silicone legs moving around and stuff.
I mean, like 50% of the baits we throw, I don't even know what they mimic, but they get bit. So I'm sure it's going to be just fine.
I'm sure. Yeah. More Yamatanuki lookalikes.
Yeah.
Bunch
And
of rods and reels.
And as we scroll through this, a lot of people will be like, oh, that's a knockoff of this. That's a knockoff of this. I mean, almost everything that we see, there was an original design and everyone went off from that design, you know? And that's why it is hard to find like a lot of like uniqueness and original baits anymore.
Well, so it's like the problem is right, the knockoffs, right? Because when you start trying to patent something, it has to be so unique.
Yep.
And 90% of the stuff we see every single year is a slightly different
Version.
creature bait, slightly different design, slightly different. And even if there is a patent, I mean, look at Z-Man with the chatterbait, right? They're the only ones that can sell the direct connect with the blade. Well, except Strike King because they did the licensing deal.
Berkeley too.
And Berkeley, right?
Yep.
Even though it's slightly different, but like a split ring, the court said that's okay to make it different, right? That's enough of a difference. So that's just the way the industry is. If something works and makes the company money, another company's gonna
that's right.
attempt to. Then there's a couple other ones here that we really thought was interesting. The Jaw Boom Bait Company. This is their, what are they calling this?
The beaver balls.
The beaver balls. Yeah, this again, I'm always looking to see what's a great profile to put on the snagless jig, and this one is certainly one right. Super thin, super streamlined. Actually, depending on the overall length, that'd be great for a long neck hook too.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Just drag it along the bottom on even a Carolina rig or something.
See if it says 4.4 inches. So
yeah. The 4/0 it will be off or close to where those tails split.
Yeah,
but you can still. You're getting so much action on those tails anyway. You're not getting a lot of action anyway from the meat of that.
Jawtech's come out with a kind of thin profiled craw flipping bait.
Yeah, that's the snatch. I saw a video of TikTok with it. It does. It's like an inch wide. So it is a very wide. It would be great for skipping, great for flipping. And I think this is Jawtech's first creature. Beaver style bait too.
Yeah.
Yep.
I wonder where these names come up. Like, you're just sitting around like drinking a cold beverage, and you're like, what? Let's call that one the Snatch, and this one called Beaver Balls. You know what I mean? I don't know. Interesting.
So the only new trolling motor that's actually new, other than Power Pole, is Minn Kota has the Instinct now, which is a saltwater big boat. I think it comes with up to 100-inch shaft. So for your big offshore, nearshore boats. Those kind of things. They have the Minn Kota Instinct. Humminbird has a new 5-port switch. Nothing crazy there. Catch King, it's not in here, but they got a pair of glasses that you can get real speeds or something out of. I don't know. Not going to waste a bunch of time on it until I know more about it. I'm sure we'll talk about it because if you remember when we had Corbishley in here, we talked about AR glasses and forward-facing sonar and stuff.
Yeah.
So this might be the first step to that. Now you're getting real data. Lumar, who I've never heard of, has a shallow water anchor coming out.
Looks pretty similar to something else.
Looks like all the other shallow water anchors that literally all look identical except for the Talon. Any hydraulic one looks the same. So it looks like all the other ones. So maybe something to check out. Same price pretty much as all the other ones. Don't know anything about Lumar. The company is Lippert. So if you've ever heard of Lippert, they have the Lumar shallow water anchor coming out. Might be your thing.
Lots of new lithium batteries.
Lots of lithium batteries.
Well, and that's an important thing to bring up as you continue scrolling down is like, as much as we're upgrading the software and coming out with new electronics and stuff, like make sure you got the batteries to power that stuff, and I know I've converted completely to lithium. It's what I'm comfortable with. It's what I found most success with. And I don't run nearly as many electronics as you guys do on your boats for sure. But I'll tell you, like, there ain't nothing worse than getting a nice new gizmo and you don't have the power to
you don't need lithiums to run the new electronics by any.
No, you don't
spend that money. You can, I don't run 99% of my boat off lithiums. The only thing I run is my trolling motor, my forward facing. Everything else is off of AGM batteries, just because I know too many guys that do this for a living that have had too many issues with lithium batteries as starting in-house batteries. So I won't do it personally.
Yep.
But that's just me. Rely on. So this is a lower ants company making their lithium batteries. They have the new HDS Pro, which is really the only new graph coming out. And then the Active Target 2, which improved clarity and distance, all that. That is what I have on my boat this year because I tinker constantly. So I've had Garmin, I've had Mega Live, and now I have the Active Target 2 on my boat for this year.
Mm-hmm.
A little compact popping frog from Lunker Hunt. We were talking about the compact frogs being the new thing. So they came out. They have Lunker Hunt has a giant mouth on their popping stuff. Probably be a good little bait. My biggest issue with the Lunker Hunt stuff that I've used in the past is the plastic is kind of junk and they don't last. So
I've never caught anything on anything Lunker Hunt. I mean,
on a frog.
I have stuff, but you get that Boshi blade crankbait.
I'm gonna click on it real quick.
That's interesting. I don't know how I feel about that.
A lot of guys add blades to their crankbaits to the front hook.
Yeah,
like that's not that uncommon in fishing. It is interesting. They added a different hook point behind the primary hook. It's gonna hit that hook probably and make some clacking sounds. I don't know. It's intriguing. It is something a little bit different. It's something I haven't seen before.
Yeah,
need to see more on it. But yeah, Trey, that was a good catch because I missed it earlier. That's an interesting one. There's 700 different Neds coming out. The snagless Neds are still the best Ned heads if you're going to throw a Ned rig. Alternative now to the Yamatanuki, which the Yamatanuki is nothing new. That bait design has been getting thrown in Japan for years. John Cruz developed this, which is, he's calling it the Bomba. That's a video. I'm not going to watch the video, John. Sorry. Love you. Bye. It's a little bit thinner profile. So he's been fishing with a straight shank worm hook because it's not as thick a plastic. Still has that same fall, kind of like the Yamatanuki, around the same weight. Made here in the U.S. if that's what's important to you. I like missile and everything, so I will definitely be picking some of these up.
It looks like a cocoon.
Yeah, it just if you look at it, it literally looks like a craw without the claws, and that was what you're going for. So, Muscle Ant from Mollix, I like their little compact spinner baits. They do a really good job of making compact spinner baits. Mollix does. Iaconelli likes those compact. He has a lot to do with some of their design, and that's one of the things he's worked on. So I'll check them out. Need to see the weight. They don't have any of that listed. So it'll be interesting to see there. Mollix has a soft lipless, which is something we've seen more of this year. There's another one that I like way better than this one that we're going to talk about, but that's a soft bait, lipless crankbait.
Keep going.
Here's the long neck hook from Mollix. US, and also the long neck skirted hook. So if you're looking for a long neck hook, use OneCast Fishing's long neck hook support veteran.
Imitation, company. I guess, is the best one. But their neck is not quite long enough on that.
A little bit more affordable, inflatable. Mustang Survival is the best in the business. I don't know what's different about this one. It says it's lightweight, convertible. So if you're looking for some safety gear, check out Mustang. This is one Ben was excited about. I don't know how I feel about this big giant lip.
It is. I do want to try this. So it is a 2 3/4 inch crankbait plug that only weighs 3/4 of an ounce. So it's not right. It's a smaller profile, very long lip because it dies like 14, 15 foot. So it's definitely a smaller profile to get some of those, deeper fish on a crankbait. So I want to try it just because it's a little bit different.
The Chippewa. Go ahead, Trey.
No, I was just going to say anything you can do to get a crankbait deeper without adding, lead dots and messing with your line too much. Like, it's always a plus for me.
That big old giant bill on there ought to keep it away from snags and stuff.
Now you just better make sure you don't hit that off anything because that thing's probably going to break.
You're going to hit some stuff. Hey, look, another lithium battery. If you want to fish a big giant soft alligator bait, you have one now.
Oh, wow.
So
that's a Florida bait right there.
Yeah, we'll have to hit up old Mike and say, hey, throw the gator bait.
Mike Johns will be punching with that. I'm excited to get my hands on one of these. I've seen some video on the Flutter. Chris Zaldane, he's got a bunch of big tournament fish caught on these. He's a lot crazier than I am because he'll flip it like under a dock and stuff, and I'm not going to do that because they're expensive. But he designed this bait. It's supposed to be nasty, so I'll be getting some of those because we get a fairly decent.
There it is.
There's the soft. So I'm excited about this soft lipless bait.
Yeah,
Ben pointed it out.
This is what the Vertrix.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
It is a lipless crankbait that's soft body. So
Nomad Designs.
So it's made by Nomad Design Tackle. It is a soft body lipless crankbait that's got a split tail at the end. So probably very similar. You work it very similar to a rattle trap, ripping it through a yo-yo, through grass, in the springtime, reeling it back. It's silent. I mean, I can imagine it's doing really well when you're ripping grass because it is such a different profile than a metal lipless crank.
I think it's going to work good anytime yo-yo. Just that little fork tail, you're going to get some subtle movement out of. It's not big and loud and in their face.
I think the biggest thing is how long is it going to last? When you start looking at anything hollow body, and I ruined multiple frogs on a trip before, but outside of tournament fishing, because we get so wrapped around tournaments, recreationally fishing, if you only fish once in a while, it'll probably be fine. But I'm curious to see how it'll stand up when you're fishing for, if I take it out on Harris right now and catch 15 fish on it, if it's going to hold up.
I'd imagine it's about like the coal shads or something.
I say that all the time, but if it catches fish, I don't care if it catches 2 and then it's just like we all say that, right? But if you're smashing them on them, it's like, well, it's what it is at that point. But I have a feeling it's probably fairly durable. They're not new to the soft body plug game.
And this is their first freshwater, I think, version.
Yeah.
They've got saltwater versions of this too. So
Well, the saltwater guys should know how to create things that hold up a little bit.
Is this one soft too? No. This is
that's-
this one has a self-tuning light tie, whatever that means. More lithium batteries for anybody that's interested. The fish lung. I'm not going to click on this because it's a video and it doesn't really tell you anything. I don't know the science behind it. I don't know a lot about it. I know that I've talked to John Cruz, who's been using it, and he says it absolutely is the biggest innovation in fish care that he has seen since he started professionally fishing over 25 years ago.
and what it is, fish lung, what they're claiming is you put this in your live well, and I don't understand you install it somehow, and it super saturates the water with small oxygen bubbles, which apparently allows the fish to take in that oxygen better.
Yeah, they say it's usable oxygen. It creates more usable oxygen.
So again, not knowing the science, but the only thing I can think of is somehow it creates more dissolved oxygen in the water.
I wonder if it helps dissolve some of the gas buildup in there too.
I don't know. I just know that hearing it from a guy like that and say it's the biggest thing he's seen in fish care, like I take hold that in pretty high regard. So
Wait till one
looking
of these
forward
days
to more on
do
that.
we have pressurized tanks?
Oh yeah, tell me.
Yeah.
Like this top water frog. I saw this earlier.
The
like
fact that the iCombo doesn't have it is a disappointment.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah.
No,
For the price, yeah.
Yeah.
Way to go, Jacob. Fish Lab. This is just a little tail they've made for a trailer for like spinner baits and stuff. This is Akuma came out with this.
You
Could
know
be
what? I like
interesting.
that.
Yeah.
I like that. Instead of having to ruin a whole swim bait or whatever and cut it in half, like it's like here's the tail.
I don't throw trailers on spinner baits because there's absolutely no reason to.
That's not true.
That
is completely subjective.
It's not true. You don't need a trailer.
Completely subjective.
Absolutely don't need a trailer. No, I mean, there's probably times where you do. I don't need a trailer, so I don't ever throw a trailer. Never come across
50-50.
Never come across a situation where I felt like I needed a trailer.
Yeah.
So I don't use one. But I know like Trey and others throw them a lot, and they get bit too.
I think the biggest thing for me with a trailer is if I'm trying to slow it down or, I don't know. I don't know why. Sometimes I throw them with it on. Sometimes I throw with them off.
There's the Power Pull Move, the third in the trolling motor wars. I got to play with one at Red Crest. They are awesome.
They are awesome. They are awesomely not priced, but they are awesome.
They're $5,000, so they're about $1,000 more than their competitors, but they're a lot. They built in redundancies. You're essentially getting two trolling motors in one.
Oh,
so there's multiple boards in it. So if one board fails, you're not down a trolling motor. The main drive gears that turn are one of the biggest failure points in trolling motors. They put 6 in it. So when one fails, the second kicks in. If that one fails, the third one kicks in. The big thing is power pull. So you don't have to take it to a service center to get it worked on. If you have an issue, you call power pull. They send the parts to your house. Apparently, it's super easy to fix and work on. So if you're in the market, it's an option. It's a little bit more, but if you're worried about failures or you've had issues with all Trexes like some have, or the Ghost or the what's the
Force?
The Force might be an option for you. I'll have 3 of these because I'm a Plano Edge guy. I love the storage.
Yeah. I mean, I love the Edge jig boxes. Yeah. I've got multiple of them. Terminal boxes.
I buy mine from Walmart.
Right now, when I try to get a jerk bait, it takes 3.5 hours because they're all tangled.
Yeah,
the giant mess. So you pull one out, you do the old shaky shake. Hope
I love it.
Fall off.
I love the noise the shaky shake makes.
How many does it hold?
What does it say?
Well, you can bring it up and we can count.
20 individual, up to 20.
I got more than that, so
that's why I said I'll have 3 of them.
No, I don't need it.
You don't need 20,
too many boxes.
You don't need 20 in your boat at a time. Bro.
I need as many as I want in my boat at a time.
This will be a great bait. The Nessie soft. It is a soft glide bait. They come in 3 sizes. Is pretty much a straight knockoff of Flag, who makes them, but the flags are super hard to get. So anybody that watches this, it's a swim bait. You're going to get upset. Look, you got to get on a drop on a flag if you can get one. It's 3 times the cost. Now they're going to be available to people starting at $13. You'll be able to skip this thing up under docks. You'll be able to do a bunch with it because it's a soft bait. And if you snag it and lose it, I think they have 6, 8, and 9 or something like that. or 6, 9, and 11. I don't know. I haven't seen. There's 3 sizes that
And
they're
they're
coming
all
out.
$13.
No, they go up in length. I think the smaller one starts at 13,
Okay.
and the biggest one's like right at 20. But the Flag, which I'm not gonna say it's a direct knockoff. The Flag, which is the other soft plastic glide bait on the market, is like $110 or something like that, and they only release so many times a year. This Berkeley Dime, another interesting bait. It's a what's the word I'm looking for? It's not balsa, but apparently whatever they have designed and filled this with, it reacts exactly like a balsa bait does. There's a bunch of people that have been fishing them that are touting them. Guys that are not on Pure Fishing staff that have tried them, that are talking highly of them. So it'll be interesting to see how that bait works. Queen Tackle has a tungsten hair jig coming, so that'll be interesting with your forward facing. Again, forward facing huge. Here's a tungsten underspin. Again, tungsten. Big reason they're doing that, forward facing. Rabbit baits. Destin DeMarion, who's been on the show, we've had him on a couple times. He's big on these rabbit baits. This is their new drop shot bait. It's going to be a killer. It's a 3-inch bait. A little bit of rabbit fur on the end gives you just some unique action, the way that it works in the water.
Is it rabbit fur?
Yeah.
Is it really?
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
That's why they're rabid baits, and they have a angry rabbit on there. I know
It's not for rabies.
And
we watched the Crush City video for the Bronco Bug. Going to be a cool looking bait.
It looks really neat.
the big thing is Rapala, however you want to say it. They're coming out with the soft
plastics.
soft
Yeah.
plastic line.
Yeah.
A lot of that's probably because Jacob Wheeler's with them and he wants plastics to use, so
Yep.
they're expanding out.
They're calling them Crush City. They're all his. I know there's one that looks like a spunk shad. They got this Bronco Bug. So look to check those out. Again, Rapala will probably be fall, if not spring, before you get your hands on any of their new stuff.
You think Rapala will be in the fall?
It's Rapala. Rapala, Rapala, everybody that watches and listens, let us know.
They're going to type in Rapala.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What else we got here?
Oh, I don't know what happened there. Sorry, guys.
Nothing
there's
crazy.
Yeah, I think we hit most of the ones we wanted to talk about.
Yeah, I'm going to go through kind of quick while we look. There's some more inflatable vest options coming out.
But as
The important thing is to wear a PFD.
Yep.
as we scroll through the end here, hopefully, you guys have enjoyed. We're just sitting here talking about what we're seeing, what caught our
Oh, the
eye.
Megalodon.
Yep.
This is going to be a good one. So, big 6-inch soft plastic swim bait. I have 2 of them out in my truck. I should have brought one in. I could have showed it, but everybody's like, it's a mag draft knockoff. Completely different. It swims different. The tail shape's different. The how heavy the plastic is different. The tail's much bigger, so it's got a lot bigger thump and a lot bigger wobble. The other thing they did, which I really like, is Mag Draft. Their magnetic hook keeper is already embedded in the plastic. Spro has one that you screw in yourself, so you can find where you want it. You can make sure that it's set to where it's actually going to hold the hook in, because I can't tell you how many Mag Drafts I have that won't hold a hook.
They won't.
Because the magnet got set too deep or whatever along those lines. So they're starting to hit shelves. If you see one and you want to throw 6-inch swim baits, you
Megalodons.
like that, check the Megalodon out. This walking haint is supposed to be an awesome topwater walking bait. Looking forward to getting my hands on a couple of them to try. I am a big fan of Spro hard baits. I like the stuff that they do and what they've come out with. Offset hooks. Spro, again, another rod. If you're looking for a rod to throw big baits, that KGB rod is going to be a good one for throwing those kind of baits. More jigs. They're coming out with a craw nugget, which looks like the Bomba. Blueback herring lakes. People are absolutely going nuts about these. I know Brian New's thrown it a bunch and some other folks just because of the profile and length. I guess it looks really good in those blueback herring and kind of simulates them with the shape and everything. I don't know. I don't fish many blueback herring lakes, so any actually. So if you're a blueback herring guy, that might be one for you. It looks like they have 2 size. They start at $18, $19. So not too bad on the pocket for a big bait. A bunch of boat stuff like
What's not on here that you probably need to get your hands on is a good lure retriever. So like when you're throwing these, massive crankbaits or these big glide baits or whatever, some guys can afford to do it and break them off in the bottom of the water. I try to take care of the lake as much as I can and not lose 20 to 50 bucks a pop.
You just need a 3-ounce weight.
Yeah.
And a clip.
Yeah. So you can make your own or whatever, but yeah, probably important.
Here's a bait I'm really excited about. The Strike King Gravel Dog.
Oh yeah.
Super innovative. Definitely not anything like the Rock Crawler. The Bitsy Splash will be a good one. A little a compact pop R style bait.
Hey, listen, Strike King's done it right with their pop art baits.
They're
good, right?
Yeah, you're either throwing them or the what's the expensive one? The Ricos.
Yeah, I use the Ricos or the Splashes.
Yeah,
they're tough to beat.
Like I've got a bunch of the Ricos, the little small 1/4 ounce ones, which again, talking about, I think we talked about earlier, like you have to downsize your rod and reel for that.
Yeah.
But as we're almost, if you know, following along, we're almost to the bottom of the page here as we're pretty much went through all the new products here at ICast. We talked about the ones I think most exciting to us. And again, we're primarily focused on, bass fishing. And this is, as we're looking here, a bunch of jigs.
Toad Thumper's coming out with a line of jigs now. These are all like.
So if you haven't noticed,
I am kind of excited about this. I noticed it right before we went live. So Vexen has this little war, sort of like a wiggle wart size crankbait.
that looks like a frog.
Well, yeah. I mean, that color looks like a frog, but I think that's going to be an interesting bait to check out for fishing those tight areas, trying to get a little bit tighter wobble bait in there and things like that. So that one might be cool. If you're looking for an underwater camera to tow a bait behind, they've come out with one that's only $160. So I actually, when I saw this, was like, that might be cool, but I don't want to lose $160 camera when I hook a fish and break it off. So
$160 camera, that's less than some of these glide baits.
Yeah. More jigs. The Yamatanuki, somebody had mentioned something. David, yeah, it's a great bait. Catches fish. I've been throwing them both sizes. They've come out with the finesse one now that's like a 2.5 inch, and then they have the 4-inch or whatever the big one is. Just a different fall rate, just something different that gets bit, especially if you're fishing vertical structure like trees, docks, things like that. Because with a wacky rig, you get more of a left to right. You get a bit more of a wide fall. With that Yamatanuki, it rocks back and forth
like a feather.
Like if you put it along a tree, it's going to fall straight down that tree. Or with a wacky rig and some other presentations you might get out of a little bit. So I've heard people talking about this itchy worm. It's another big worm. This is a Yamamoto coming out with, so we'll have to see what that looks like. I didn't think there was anything else. For my northern guys, this Gobius is going to crush the smallmouth in the Great Lakes. They have a little bit different chatterbait coming out called the Evo. I don't know what's different about it.
Yeah, they discontinued. I saw a video on it today. They discontinued the Elite.
Oh, really?
Now they got the Evo for the Evolution. So
okay, they made this injector where you can inject rattles and this stuff now. This rod, I don't know how I feel about it. They don't do a good job of talking about what it is, but this rod doesn't have a reel seat. Essentially what you do is you decide where the reel bounces the best for you, and then you electrical tape your reel to the rod. Yeah. So
what?
Yeah, apparently it's a thing. This isn't something they've invented. This is a thing. I have a feeling it's a super niche thing.
Drew's Ultimate Ned Rig Rods. Check it out. You need to come and jump on the OneCast because we need to have a conversation about this rod concept.
I might be able to get some Z-Man. I don't know which Drew that is, but I don't know how I feel about it. They call it a Tennessee handle, so maybe you can Google that.
Who's the manufacturer?
It's Z-Man.
Oh, Z-Man.
Yeah.
Okay. Z-Man, come on the show.
Yeah, come on the show. Let's
come
talk
on the
about
show.
the
Let's talk
design.
about that.
Weighted swim bait hooks, and that's pretty much the end of ICast new product showcase. There might be a few more that pop up in there.
And again, we didn't even touch any of the apparel or any of the other, outdoor industry.
There's Jawtech. What's up, Colt?
What's going on, Colt?
If you're still there, we're looking forward to trying out
the snatch.
Your snatch.
I like it. Pete, get your mind
boy. I'm sorry.
out of the gutter.
13-year-old child.
Good Lord.
Looking forward to trying that bait out though, Colt. It looks it's different, man, and I like different. That wide body, thin profile. you don't have a bunch of appendages like most of the other flipping baits. So should be pretty cool.
So overall thoughts from the OneCast crew. Ben, what do you think about the things that we just ran through?
I mean, there's a couple things I want to try, some things that definitely stick out. But I mean, we talked about in the beginning, overall, it's just kind of underwhelming with new products. Now, I think the industry's kind of going through a lull right now. There's issues with demand and supply and coming out of COVID and the economy and all that.
Yep.
But then there's also just these waves that we go through in the industry. Like there's a bunch of new stuff within like 3 or 4 years, and then it takes a while before the next big thing, really, an actual true game changer comes along, right?
Yeah.
It'll be interesting to see where we go in the industry. There's you always think there's going to be the end of innovation, but people continue to innovate. You keep seeing things. I think where we're going to see the biggest strides innovation wise is going to be in electronics. Sorry, Trey was making a banging noise. I was just making sure it didn't interfere. But I think the biggest innovation is going to be in electronics moving forward. Like as far as making a shad shaped bait or a blueback herring shaped bait or a worm shaped bait, a flipping bait, a creature bait, a frog, a toad, there's only so many shapes you can make, right? Like at the end of the day, they're going to be similar. You might see some plastics technology that changes things a little bit, like when they came out with Elastec. Now you see some other companies coming out with stretchable, durable plastics. You see companies coming out with softer plastics, harder plastics that hold up better in salt water. So you may see a little bit there, but generally bait design that we see, jerk baits, I think everybody now makes a jerk bait looks like a Mega Bass 110. Like that's the shape, that's the profile, that's where it's at. Like back in the day, everybody was making a Rapala. Everybody made a Rapala that looked like a Rapala, the shape, the bill placement, the design. You're starting to see that. So maybe someday we'll see a little bit of a change. But generally speaking, I'm not going to say it's underwhelming, but it's what I expected. There's not a ton of innovation and not a ton of super exciting new stuff coming out this year.
Yeah. The thing that I'm most excited about is not a new bait, not a new piece of electronics, not a new boat. It's something that's going to save us money in the long run. And that's going to be hard to come by because, anglers just tend to dump a lot of money. And listen, the businesses in the industry need you to do that in order to keep innovating and coming up with new concepts and stuff to sustain. But Ben, you hit the nail on the head. We are still dealing with negative effects, negative impacts from the demand, supply and demand from COVID and stuff like that. So maybe that's why you're not seeing as much come out, or maybe it's a combination of, man, there's really not a whole lot of ideas right now because we've developed so much stuff. The big glide bait game has came online. So you're seeing a lot of people getting that. And then the soft plastic, big swim bait game, the mag drafts and all that stuff.
Let me say
the finesse game, I think, is still
there.
I think we'll start because we're starting to see some companies with some BFS reels. Shimano's got the new Aldebaran BFS that they're releasing to the American public or North America. Cash's got BFS. There's a couple that started the last couple of years, but I don't think it's exploded fully yet. I think that's something that the Demiki rig and that stuff's being made popular, but the actual, you still see a lot of those guys using spinning reels and stuff. Right? So I think that may be the next thing.
I think it's going to have to be
from industry folks, guys that I know that do it for a living, that have bigger companies successful in the industry. The next big shift you're going to see isn't going to be guys switching to BFS as much as I would like it to be. The next big thing is going to be oversized baits,
big baits,
1 ounce, 2 ounce, ounce and a half spinner baits, big swim baits, big glide baits like we're starting to see, big crank baits that dive shallower but bigger profiles. There's a push now to the bigger profile stuff because they're seeing success catching bigger fish, throwing bigger profiled stuff. You're starting to see more guys do it in tournaments. I mean, look at when they were on Murray or not Murray, on
Santee.
No, Norman for Redcrest. Everybody was throwing a 6-inch soft plastic swim bait to catch spots. Like that's what guys were throwing around docks. Like there's a huge shift. And from guys that work in the industry, own tackle companies, guys I know that fish for a living, that's where it's going next. It's going to be big baits, big 1 ounce spinner baits, those types of things. And then I don't know that we're going to see BFS and stuff take off like I would like to, but
you may be right, but it may be delayed because the industry goes through cycles.
Well,
Remember back
No, I think it'll come.
It used to
Yeah.
all be about big jigs, big
Yep.
crankbaits,
Yep.
and then what do we start going to? Drop shots, Ned rig,
Yep.
that sort of stuff.
No, and I don't
know.
mean we're never going to see that shift. I mean, I don't think that's going to be the next one. I think you're going to see a big bait push for the next 5 years or so. And then you're going to have to go back to finesse, because when everybody's out there hammering away with a 1 ounce spinner bait and a 6-inch swim bait and all that, you're going to see guys starting to go back to finesse to catch those fish, because those fish have seen
That's
all
right.
those big baits. So it's cyclic like everything.
Exactly. And what's 90% of the bait that you always see the anglers hold up when they win a tournament? There's a soft plastic in there.
There's a wacky rig.
There's a wacky
Every
rigged Cinco
daggone
or stick bait. There's a jig or a creature bait, right? Those aren't going to go away. So the, I don't know, other 49.5 million people that don't
Yep.
tournament fish, you're still going to want to get your hands on those things because they're cheaper. They're going to catch you fish in ponds. They're going to catch you fish in the rivers, off the bank, all that stuff.
Yeah.
That stuff's not going away. But,
No.
you know,
Awesome. You guys
Yeah.
got anything else?
nope. Appreciate everyone joining us. Like Pete said at the beginning, head on over to onecastfishing.com. Use the code the OneCast to save some money at checkout, and leave us a review and share all this stuff with your friends. We really appreciate it.
Yeah, it's been another fun week. I've enjoyed doing a live one. I don't know that I would want to do this every week. I know it works for some podcasts, but I like to be able to edit stuff and do that and bring guests on, which is a little bit harder to do live. But I appreciate everybody joining. Again, we talked about OneCast fishing. You know, they're a big reason why we're able to do this. Also, make sure you check out kingfisherdesigns.net. Our friend Jeff Christensen painted these pictures here. He designed our logo. Excellent wildlife outdoor fishing artist, does commission work. He has a bunch of stuff on there he sells. Prints t-shirts, does all that cool stuff. So if you're looking for any of that kind of stuff, make sure you reach out to him. Support those that help support us, and help us continue to grow a culture of anglers helping anglers, one cast at a time.
That's a good one. That's a good one. Oh, God, it's a toad, son. It's a toad, dude.
Let's go. I wake up to a little bit of drool on my pillow, feel like it's gonna be a bad day.